start, or no? I want you to start. I want to see how well you do the intro.
No, you do.
This is a brand new year, brand new everything.
It's not a brand new. You start.
It's kind of a brand new year.
You start it. I'm the sidekick.
You're never the sidekick. You are the star of the show by far. And the name of that show is Tripping on Legends. Don't say it like that, because then we sound like an NPR show. We don't say that at the same time. So don't. Did you just do the hair thing?
What thing?
Good evening and welcome to Tripping on Legends. I am Christopher Balzano.
And I am Ella Balzano.
And she is wearing her ugly Christmas sweater, but I do not have one. And this is a special edition, although we are going to make it episode 84, special edition of Tripping on Legends.
Because it's
Island of Haunted Toys. Yes. So this began a little bit ago. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we did an episode talking about why is Christmas not spooky anymore, right? Like, why is it that we've gotten out of the habit? And it was really weird because we started that, and then there was kind of a rush, and I don't think we started because we're not that popular, but a rush of people going back to that old tradition of telling ghost stories on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I brought it back. Did you just yawn as I'm talking?
No.
You did yawn. I was actually blown back by the thing. We actually brought it back last night. I read, or yesterday after I got rid of you guys, I was able to get through Turn of the Screw. I was able to get through the festival, which was amazing, which was H.P. Lovecraft. And I was able to get through part of A Christmas Carol. And I didn't get to the breathing method last night because I ended up watching a movie instead. Wah, wah. But overall, it was a really good experience. And it's one of those things that, we then at Tripping on Legends, the first year, Natalie and I did a kind of fact or fiction reality, fact or fiction, where people had to guess whether or not the story was.
Yeah, with me too.
And then last year I did it with you. Mm-hmm. And this year I didn't really have a ton of stories to go from. Because the whole point is I really tapped like a whole bunch of...
That's creepy.
I hate creepy. A whole bunch. She has a friend that I've nicknamed Creepy. I really hadn't seen a whole lot of other ghost stories that took place on Christmas Eve or Christmas. And so I decided to go with the theme instead. And our theme tonight is...
haunted toys or things that you wouldn't want to get for
Things
Christmas.
that you wouldn't want to get. So part of the reason is if you haven't been following Tripping on Legends, and our Facebook is Tripping on Legend, or facebook.com/Tripping on Legends. Our IG, which we've got going on tonight, which is Spooky Tripping, as well as just following our regular social media. I've got Twitter at Spooky Balzano. You'll know that for reasons I don't want to get into right now, I canceled the Ocala Forest book. And
I didn't know that.
I told you that like 2 weeks ago.
Well, I probably wasn't listening.
That's encouraging. But one of the things that we are going to work on this year, Tim Weisberg and I are going to bring back, and I should say, Tim Weisberg, we are also tonight on midnight.fm.
Where it's always midnight.
Oh, nice job. Like, I didn't even think you'd remember because we haven't done an episode in a month and a half, which is what I was leading up to. And so we are reissuing the old version of Haunted Objects, and then we are working on a second edition of Haunted Objects. And so Haunted Objects has really been on my mind, especially because I've tried to push everything Ocala away for a little bit. Haunted Objects has really been on my mind, as well as working with Ella on This Town is Myth and a new project that I'm going to announce when we come back with our regular live shows on January 5th. So coming back to work. Midnight.fm has been gracious enough.
Midnight.
Thank you. Has been gracious enough. Now you're just doing it to piss me off. Has been gracious enough to be playing some old episodes of mine in my absence, and then they played our Christmas episode. So the Making Christmas Spooky, the Natalie episode, and I think your episode drops this week on. So if you're not listening to Midnight.fm, thank you. You'll be able to hear that, and we're actually, because there's no one who broadcasts on Friday at this time, we've kind of pirated this hour before Tim's show. to talk about it. So Tim and I wrote Haunted Objects. What do you think of Haunted Objects, the book?
Oh, well, I've read all of it like 5 times. I love it.
You love Haunted
love
Objects? Oh, that's great. She doesn't read any of my work without insulting it. So that's really a ringing endorsement. But it's a new day and age. It's a new kind of from when we originally wrote the book. There have been TV shows made about it now. Our TV show never got made, but there are other TV shows made about it. Most famously, Haunted Collector, and there are a few haunted Christmas stories in there. But one of the things that I was thinking about is that when it comes to haunted objects, obviously there's nothing more famous than dolls, right? There's nothing more. I was going to go like this and hold my cup, but I'm holding my Christmas cup tonight. There's nothing more famous than dolls.
Woman.
But there is a history, both in folklore and in true ghost stories, of haunted objects, haunted toys that have kind of plagued the children of the world. And I shouldn't even say just the children of the world, because some of these have been adult ones. Some of these have been not adult toys. Not adult toys I'm not referring to, but rather adults who have been plagued by these toys.
Wow.
If you have a haunted adult toy story, please feel free to call in. Or if you want to, just in general, send us or send the audience a holiday message, a Christmas message, or share your story of a haunted toy. We would be happy to hear from you. We've got to get off the air at 10 in terms of midnight.fm.
Where it's always midnight.
But if we've got a kind of a good vibe going, we'll continue on through our 2 other feeds. So I challenged you with 2 things. Because I do all the heavy lifting on this show.
I probably didn't do the second one.
You probably didn't.
What was the second one?
I challenged you to come up with or find stories of haunted toys.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Did you do that homework?
Yes.
Beautiful.
I have 3 of them.
3. Now, if you're also noticing, we've got a different lighting setting going up, so you'll have to tell us what you think of our new lighting. This is courtesy of my sister, Laureen Balzano, who bought this for Ella for her TikToks. So I decided I'm going to hijack it for the show at least. So I gave you the assignment to come up with haunted toys stories, but then also to come up with the 5 toys you would least want to be haunted.
Oh.
And we have not.
I can easily name those, so I don't need to do like.
Okay, we have not conferred on this at all leading into it. What are you doing? Okay. What have you got for me?
Why did you look at me like that? That
I
was
don't know.
Scary.
That was because I was thinking about what to say, and I was reading Nancy's comments as I was doing it. So, all right. So the very first thing is, did you find stories of haunted toys?
Yes.
You did. Excellent.
I also found 2 stories of things that I wouldn't want to get for Christmas.
Okay. Which one do you want to go with first?
Let's do the dolls.
Okay.
First.
And remember, if you want to share your stories, the number is 813-418-6822. And of course, you can call that number anytime, but you can call if you want to be brought in on the live show to discuss your haunted toy. Yeah. Okay, so before you start, what do you think is the reason why toys, it seems, toys are one of the most likely objects to be haunted? Like when you, and it's funny because the book Haunted Objects doesn't have as many toys as other things, but as I've collected stories since then, it seems that toys are much more out there and kind of more famous, than others. And haunted dolls are a great example of that. But why would you feel that maybe toys are?
Because a lot of children play with them, and like children, as seen in like a lot of lore, can easily become like attached to things. Like, you know how like demons usually take the form of children? It's because children are gullible.
Children are gullible.
Children are gullible and make you gullible. Remember that.
Yes, and as you all know, don't trust kids at all, I guess is what you're saying.
Don't trust kids.
Yeah, and I think that really hits upon it because we have this idea that kids are innocent, and yet it's like in a lot of ways kids are more susceptible, maybe because of that innocence, more susceptible to attaching themselves to something, right? I think what the one thing that you were hinting at just then is that people are children are more likely to be confused by something evil trying to get into their lives, right? So we get a lot of that in the movies, a lot of that in the media.
Because they're children, they don't know any better. They don't know as much as adults.
But then there's also this
experience.
This, and I know that you and Devin are very hip on this idea because it's been explored in BuzzFeed Unexplained, which is something evil pretending to be a child to get into someone's life.
Yeah, they usually take the form of a child because you see children as like innocent little beings. They couldn't hurt a fly or anything like that.
As opposed to the evil things that they are.
As opposed to like an adult who could possibly be sitting in the corner while you're sleeping. Stop it.
That is okay. Why would you say that was the creepiest thing you've ever said? Do you often have adults sleeping and standing in the corner of your room?
No, that's creepy.
No, it really is. So there's definitely that creep factor and I think, when we talk about these, we have to talk about theoretical, right? So we have these haunted objects, but we also have things that people feel are haunted. And if you're coming up with a story, or if you're spreading a story, right, then you definitely have the concept of it's a better story if it involves a kid, right? Like if you take something, any story, and automatically you change the main character from an adult to a child, it becomes instantly creepier, right? Like name a haunted legend. Robert already involves a child, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but I also think, and this is probably another reason why for both true stories and for haunted lore, is that kids are crazy, and they produce a lot of energy. And if we are going with the theory and the idea that being attached or having a haunted object become endowed with some kind of paranormal link, right? Or some kind of paranormal power, it has to be based on energy, right? Has to be based on intent, has to be based on passion. There is nothing more passionate, not in a non-creepy way, there's nothing more passionate than a girl for her doll. And Robert is a great example of that, the weird obsession that he had with it. Or even you for Hoblo, right?
Oh my God.
So Hoblo is her elf on the shelf.
He was.
2
years ago.
A few years ago. And Hoblo went missing.
No.
Neither the ex or I know where Hoblo is. We told her that he had been recruited by another family to go off.
No, I'm pretty sure you told me, because we lost in December 2019. So it was either that or you told us that Pablo was flying over China and he got the coronavirus.
I definitely didn't say that.
Somebody said that.
I never would joke about that. But you were like passionate about it, and even though he doesn't want us to talk about it, there's a reason why Devin hasn't gotten rid of Big Brown Bear. You know what I'm saying? Like Bear in the Big Blue House, right? He still has that stuffed animal. It's in his closet. But there's kind of like an automatic bond that forms. And I feel that when you get a toy, and that toy could be a whole variety of things, kids tend to put all of their power and all of their intent and all of their passion into this thing, which then could create some kind of weird connection. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Oh, you're focusing on that when it's really creepy. So what is a toy? Let's start out with this. What is a toy that you feel that you've been obsessed with that could potentially be a haunted toy? Something that you really kind of put power and energy into, whether it was good energy, sometimes even negative things or things, something like that. Like I used to have.
Why did you go?
Because I've got an interesting story to tell.
Well, can it be
that you don't know about, that you've never heard, and it's going to freak you out when you actually hear it?
Can it be something that I'm not quite sure where it is at
Yeah,
the
go
current
ahead.
moment.
Yeah, of course.
Doggy.
Doggy? What's doggy?
Remember the little toy that I had? It was like half bare, and then like its chest, it went like down to like a blanket.
Okay,
And then it had like the little whiskers.
No, I'm with you.
I was like emotionally attached to that thing. We were inseparable.
So, and Devin as well, right? So, what she's talking about is there was a little blanket, and it's the head of a dog, and this doll head. Well, we're gonna have to wait to tell the story because we've got a call coming in.
From Ken. To accept, press.
Beautiful. Hi, Ken. What's going on tonight? How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Merry Christmas.
I have. Merry Christmas to you. I hope you had a great one today.
I did actually.
So I had a haunted toy store. It's not really. Well, it's the Ouija board. It's sold as a toy.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a toy.
Well, let me start by asking you this: when you bought it, did you buy it as a toy? Did you buy like in the toy section or?
No, I didn't buy it at all.
Okay.
A relative gave it to my kid, and I didn't know it was in the house because I was strictly against that.
It's one of the interesting things we talk about in terms. I think we even talk about it in Haunted Objects. This idea of we so rarely know exactly where our Ouija board comes from. It always comes from like down to us from a family member or like a friend, or we find it somehow. So this is an excellent start to the story.
Yeah, and like I said, I was against them from the beginning. I remember going to a CCD class at the church, and it was around the time when like The Exorcist was on, and I think it was the first time broadcast on TV. But then the priest talked about it at the next CCD class, and he talked about the Ouija board, and the way he explained it to us as he warned all the kids, and he's like, using a Ouija board is like crossing a highway. You could get across and not get hit by a car, but you could get across and get hit by a truck. You know, so it's a risky operation. He said, it's like, you know, so you could do it and nothing would happen, but you also could do it and get bad results. So that was always etched in my brain the whole time. So I wanted the kids not to play with it at all. But of course, now, this is years later. I hadn't even known about this, to tell you the truth, until my daughter came to me a couple months ago. And actually, I think it was early in the summer. And told me that, oh, Dad, you wouldn't believe what happened. I was going through my stuff. They were like cleaning up the basement, and they found old diaries that she kept when she was a kid back in the day. And they were talking about how they use the Ouija board, and it's stupid. It doesn't work because she asked them, who was I going to marry? And it spelled out Glues, glues. And she's like, this dumb glues, right? So she'll forget about it. You know, kids wrote it in the diary, forget about it. She's cleaning it now. She finds it and she reads it, and she dropped the book. She was like shaking. She couldn't believe it. That's the nickname of her husband that she married.
Shut up.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You know, like she couldn't put it together. You know, if it said Bob or Larry or something, she would have, you know, put two and two together years ago. But to spell out Glues, and then his nickname that he goes by now is Glues. All these years later, you see it in a diary. That is just freaky.
And where does that nickname come from?
I can't believe that.
Ken, where does the nickname come from?
It's a variation of his name. So he has a name, and it sounds similar to that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do it for privacy reasons.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it sounds similar to that, so that's the nickname he grew up with. That because of Glues, right? And that's what it is. And she was shaking when she read it. She couldn't believe it. She had the diary going all these years back, and then she never put two and two together, so she just read it.
That's interesting because it's such a unique name, so it's not like it was like John or something like that. No, oh my word, it's another John, you know?
You know, if it was a name like that, like Bob, Rob, you know, Bob, whatever, Matthew, it could have been anything, you know what I mean? It was just, you know, they could have been subconsciously doing it. But to spell out Glues, which it actually is, it's incredible. There's way more than a coincidence. That's just scary.
And where's the board now?
I don't know. I think it's gone. This was years and years ago, so who knows? I don't even know it was in the house. Then all of a sudden, I don't know. We're talking years and years ago. So she's a grown adult now, married. So
it's so interesting because these boards come into our life and out of our life.
Yeah, it's so scary. And I've heard all stories before. This is 100% true. It's not made up. It's just
no.
I'm not a fan of them at all. And what always gets me is how do these things know? Like I've heard a lot of scary stories before about how it tells when the person's going to die, and then they get killed in a car wreck, and then people tell the stories. It's like it's almost like it messes with your mind, like a timeline that these events already happened. Like how do they know it's going to happen before it even happens? It's just freaky.
Yeah, because there's this great misconception about the paranormal in that when you die, you gain some kind of understanding, knowledge, when everything that we know says that that's probably not true, right? Like, you don't know future things that are going to happen. Maybe you can see the present, in areas that you're not in. And yet, every once in a while, you hear this story of someone who's able to make a prediction about something that's going to happen. And you have to wonder, I guess, because there's so many stories where they don't and where they can't, I guess you have to wonder if those things that are able to make those predictions are something else.
Yeah, it's really, that thing, I do not like them. I recommend no one messes with them. I think you're dealing with powers that you don't understand. That's my personal opinion. I know people use them all the time, but whatever. And I am not a fan.
Yeah, Ella's making a face right now because not only do we have a Stranger Things Ouija board, but we also, a few months ago, got a handmade, especially for us, Tripping on Legends one as well that we've used a few times. So it really is. I do agree with you that there's got to be a level of skepticism, like I think any kind of spirit communication, unless you feel like you're actually catching someone, like on audio, having a conversation that that it's irrelevant that you're there. I think you always have to have a moment of pause when you're like, wait a minute, is this person like really who they say they are, or communicating something that's truthful or something like that. So
I know, and how can you trust it? Because like you were mentioning before I called in, it could be posing as a kid, and
right.
It could be not that at all. Just trying to trick you, get your guard down.
Yeah, and I think that so many people are invited into the world of the Ouija board as kids. You know what I'm saying? As tweens and as teens, and so it does appear, and it's marketed and everything. Spirit boards in general, not just a Ouija board, but the Ouija board in particular, as a fun parlor game, and I think that's probably, I didn't even think of adding that to the list of clear and present dangers when it comes to haunted toys, but definitely Ouija boards would fall into that.
Well, I just figured I'd share my.
No, I really appreciate it.
To everyone out there.
All right, well, Merry Christmas, Ken. Thank you for calling in. I've always wanted you to call in. Please tell me you'll call in again.
Oh yeah, I've actually had a lot between family members, a lot of stories too. So I got a lot to share with you.
Excellent.
And but I just figured that's what I really want. Is that one just happened, like probably early summer.
Yeah.
And that blew me away. How she's like, Dad, you're never gonna believe this. I couldn't believe it. I was shaking when I read it, and I'm like, well, see, I told you not to mess with those things.
That's crazy. All right, Merry Christmas, Ken. Thank you very much for calling in.
Merry Christmas.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, Ouija boards, right? I mean,
Ouija
those are
boards.
I didn't even think, was that put on your list?
No, it was not.
It wasn't, but that's definitely one. We could have a whole story. Maybe we should do a whole episode just on
how
we have an early episode back when we were looking into pre-home haunted. This was Natalie's house. We did a whole episode on the lore of the Ouija board, not in terms of its effectiveness or its history, which is well documented out there. As well, we've posted some resources about that, but lore in terms of how to use it and how for it to be effective. Thank you very much, Ken, for calling in. I want to finish up the story though, because it was a bear head. It was a bear head.
I told you that.
On a blanket. So it was a little blanket with a bear head on top. Which Devin had two blue ones, I believe, or white ones.
Mine was like a pinkish
Yours was pink.
white.
Devin
I had
got
2 of them.
Devin had 2. You had 1.
No, I had 2. I had Doggy, and then I had the other one.
Don't contradict me. So Devin was so obsessed with his that we got another one, or we had gotten 2 of them, and we put one away. We were going to return it, and he was so obsessed with it that we kept the second one because he couldn't be without it, right? So we would swap them in and out. So when we watched one, we would slide him the other one. And it was kind of the same thing with you. But here's the crazy story, and you can ask Mom about this. They both are both incarnations. The fact is, Devin called it Doggy. He never called it a bear. So when we gave it to her, we always called it Doggy. So she called it Doggy, even though it was a bear. All of them disappeared at a certain age. Now, maybe Mom threw them away, but it seems like that would not be something she would do without telling me that she had done it.
Yeah, especially, like, I don't think Mom is the type of person to throw away something that, like, built your childhood.
Maybe, I mean, she's very, anyway, I think that's definitely, she could have, but I think she would have told me about it if she had. That's why I think that, that's not true. That they just disappeared. The other one is this. I'm going to tell you this story before you get to your list. So, a long time ago, 5.5 years now, as I was just saying, I got a divorce from Ella's mother. Why are you laughing at my divorce?
Sorry, you said it so calmly. Just I got a divorce from Ella's mother.
I got a divorce from Ella's mother. Well, I don't want to use her name. And part of the transition, I don't even know if you remember this, but you remember everything. So part of the transition we thought would be easier for you would we got you this doll, this like stuffed cat. Do you remember this?
I do, and it's in there, and it sent messages back and forth. Right.
So what it was a cat, and you recorded a message on the phone, right? So that when she was at her mom's house, there would be a little light that would flash, and then she would click it, and it would say, "Hey, Ella, it's Dad. I'm really missing you. I'll see you in a few days." Blah, 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 blah. So it helped her with. Are you gonna cry?
No.
Okay. It helped her with like the transition back and forth because anytime she could hear my voice if she wanted to hear my voice. You were little.
That was creepy. I realized how creepy that cat was.
Then this is gonna kind of flip you.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So, the cat would often talk on its own.
Pardon me? That thing is in the other room.
Yes, it's in your bedroom, and it's been in your bedroom.
It's in my bedroom?
So, well, where is it? Where else would it be?
Your room?
It's not my room.
Now you're getting it. It's in your room now. It's in your room now.
So, one of the things that it would do is, because obviously the divorce was really hard on me, but it was hard on me because I didn't have my kids with me all the time, right? And I really love my kids and all that kind of good stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it used to talk to me. So it would be in your room. It would be in your room, right? Because you could also record messages and send them to me.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So it would be in your room, and I would, from my bedroom, which is only feet, right? Like our bedrooms are right across from each other. I would hear your voice, right? Your voice, I would hear going, "Dad, Dad, Dad." And I'd be like, what the? And sometimes I would wake up, right? And because I'm waking up, I would forget that I didn't have you. And I would go into the room. I remember we used to keep it up top, on top of the bookcase, right? It's still on top of the bookcase. We used to keep it on top of the bookcase when you weren't here, right? Or when you were here. And it would always be on your bed. And I would walk into the room. I would walk into the room. Yeah. And it would say, like, the last message that you had said to me without any prompting. Like, you had to, like, click a button to hear the recorded voice.
Well, I wish you told me about this earlier, because that thing's been in the church.
Well, the whole point of it was that I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to be freaked out by it. And it always seemed to be...
Why would you tell me?
It always seemed to be when we were having... Because you brought up the Dan, step down. It would always be at a time that I was really, really missing you guys. And I don't, even back then, I didn't go more than 2 days without seeing you guys, you know? And we were on the phone every day, more on the phone then than now. And it would still, like, I would be, like, really, really missing you guys. I would hear, Dad, Dad. And I would go into the room and it would play the last recorded message by you. And then that was my message. Sometimes maybe I felt that you were missing me too. And so I would always record a message at that time. I wish we could hashtag that toy so they can kind of hear
What was that called?
You're not going rushing now to get it. We'll find. Don't. All right, beautiful. So those, I guess that's my really good, my really good story.
Earlier.
Well, I didn't want to freak you out, but I think once again, like, it wasn't just that the doll was old, or it was really that it was this connection between us, and it was our energy going back and forth. I really genuinely feel like almost like you were astral projecting into the doll at those moments. So.
I mean...
Okay, so that's mine. So what are the stories that you found?
Well, now mine are lame compared to yours.
Yours will always be lame compared to mine. Oh, what? Just kidding.
So mean.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, the first one's not too interesting, but... Okay, so...
Oh, she's literally taking the mic away
Shut
from me.
up.
All right, you go ahead, girl.
Shut up.
You go ahead.
Okay, so Mandy the doll.
Okay, so it's another haunted doll.
All 3 of them are haunted dolls. I could not find anything else. I swear to God, I looked up haunted toys to do research, and it popped up the haunted Toys R Us in Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale?
Sunnyvale, I think it's
or
called.
Sunnydale. What?
Okay. Mandy the doll in Quesnel. Can you pronounce that for me?
Quesnel Museum?
In Canada. So
can you do this in a Canadian accent?
No.
Okay. I won't either, so I won't insult
So Mandy had to be kept in a separate case from all the other dolls in the museum.
I think, just so you know, I think every single person in the audience right now, except for you, all has a song in their head right now. And Ella has no concept of it whatsoever, so she's going, blah, 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 Mandy, blah, 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 Mandy. You have
so
no
scary.
idea. You have no idea that everyone else right now is going, oh, Mandy, well, you can't.
Oh, I know that song.
You know that song?
I know that
Okay,
song.
go, continue.
Okay, but the thing was, it had to be kept in a separate case than all the other dolls at the museum. And if it was kept in the same case as any other dolls, the people would find the dolls scattered everywhere.
Wait a minute, so if she got in
Like,
with
she
the other
knocks
dolls,
them
she would,
over.
like, mess
She
them up.
knocks them over.
Crazy.
And it said that, I don't know, this is kind of lame, lunches disappeared. Like, the people who came, like the tourists, their lunches disappeared. And the people who worked at the museum reported that the people who walked in to, like, take a picture, their photos, like the photos of it, were failing. And they, like, glitched out and stuff. And the lady who originally donated the doll to the museum...
Yeah, I mean, was there a backstory to Mandy?
Yes, I don't remember the exact name of the woman, but she gave the doll to the museum because she said that it cried at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so what kind of museum was this?
It's called Quesnel Museum.
But I mean, was it just like a toy museum?
Maybe.
Like, why was this doll in a museum to begin with? Like, why donate it to? Okay, you don't know is the answer, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Because
sorry.
like, I don't know, why else would you donate a doll to a museum?
I don't know. That's why.
Because it's haunted.
I mean, was it a haunted museum? Go ahead.
Okay.
Spell it for me. Q-U.
ESNEL.
N-E?
Museum.
Okay. You keep talking.
Okay, so the next one is Charlie the Haunted Doll.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to tell me another song?
What's the name, Charlie?
Charlie.
No.
Okay. So the people... Dad, stop. So the people of this, like the people that moved in, found Charlie in the attic of an old Victorian home. It was in New York.
In New York.
And he was locked away in a trunk with newspapers and a yellowed piece of paper with the Lord's Prayer on it. I don't know what the Lord's Prayer is, but...
Yes, you do. The Our Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Okay. So it was said that, like, after they found it, Charlie moved on his own. I put 4 N's there. And he would swap places with the children's regular toys.
Shut up.
Yeah, he was, like, the children would, like, leave their toys out, and he swapped places with them.
Oh, my word.
And he spoke to the youngest daughter in her sleep. And, like, she was, like, saying, okay, so, like, Charlie's talking to me in my sleep. He's, like, telling me things. And...
Were they, like, scary things? Were they, like...
I think
were they, like,
scary
go kill
things.
your mother or something? Or were they, like, I'm going to...
She just said that he talked... And then, because it's never said, because he, like, totally denied the claims that she was talking about until he started, like, having, like, mysterious scratches all over her body. And then they decided to lock Charlie away, and they sent him to a museum.
Another museum? Like...
They send them to the museums, Dad.
Why are they sending these things to museums? So I'm looking up right now about Mandy, and it doesn't seem like it's like a haunted museum or something like that. It just seems like it's like an archive kind of museum. You know what I'm saying? Like a normal, typical museum. It doesn't, in other words, it doesn't seem like, you know, I mean, the doll itself looks antique-y, if not creepy. Remember the Island of Haunted Dolls?
Yes, that was my honorable mention.
Oh, I'm sorry. Spoilers.
That was the honorable mention.
How is that an honorable mention when that's like, because it's not specific?
Yeah, because, like, I mean, like, I know that's way too obvious. Like, a lot of people know about it, but it's not mainstream.
Right, but that is really much more than any of these folklore. So what can you tell me about the Island of Haunted Dolls?
I can tell you the story of
Which is kind of like that and the Island of Misfit Toys were the inspiration for the title of tonight's episode. So go ahead.
So the whole thing was that this guy moved away to the island, right, to be separated.
I feel like we should have Devin come and tell this one.
I know this one.
Okay.
So, right.
But it's Christmas. I'm sorry, continue.
So, right, so he finds this little girl's body, and with her body, he sees a doll. So he keeps the doll, right, and he hangs it up. And there are multiple reasons to why, like, multiple theories to why he would hang the doll up. Like, protection for her in the afterlife, or protection for him from her spirit, or, like, yeah.
Right, I mean, you've got all that Egyptian stuff. I mean, it is a known thing that, like, you know, or a thought thing that if you put possessions with people,
then you're
supplying them with stuff in the afterlife, right? So you bury them.
Like when King Tut was buried with maybe not King Tut.
Which is interesting because that has gotten twisted in America, where people just want to be buried with the shit they like. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they really think that they're going to use their baseball cards in the afterlife. Like, what are they going to be like? Oh, hey, Mickey Mantle, like, can you sign this for me? Seeing that we're both, like, in the afterlife. It seems like more of a selfish thing, or at least, like, a connected thing that's, like, you know, they were connected to these objects. I don't mean to say selfish, but they were connected to these objects, whereas back in the day, there was a usefulness to it. Like, you bury them with a spear so that they can, you know, fish or fight matadons or whatever those big woolly mammoth things are called. So correct.
Woolly mammoths?
Yes, but they were called mastodons, weren't they?
I have no idea. Okay. I don't remember. But
if
like,
we have any archaeologists or anthropologists,
right? But then he started to collect more dolls, and he kept hanging them up, and so the entire island is just filled. It's just hanging with dolls.
And then he went crazy, right?
And then he went crazy, and nobody like saw or heard from him in months. So when they went to check on him, they found his body in the exact position that they found the little girl.
And one of the theories was that he was putting these dolls up because her spirit was coming back to him, and these dolls were offering some kind of protection, or they were like distracting her. It's kind of like when you say, if I'm remembering the theory right, the kind of they say like you're supposed to lay sand down if you're trying to like get rid of a ghost. Specifically, I think a vampire is what it is, but I've heard it said to ghosts as well. And if you lay the salt or the sand down, one of the reasons why it's so good at protecting you is not just the purity of the salt, or you're creating some kind of mystic that they have to count every grain of salt or every grain of sand before they can cross it. Like it's some like OCD, like paranormal supernatural thing where they have to count every grain of it. And I think one of the things that I heard about that guy is that he believed if he kept putting up dolls, it would stop her from getting to him because she would be compelled to continuously stop and play with the dolls that she was finding. Which I wouldn't do because they were creepy. I would not play with not that I am a big doll player. I mean, I play with action figures. But I would not like want to play with any of those. They were all evil looking.
Like terrible, except for the monkey with the sunglasses.
Do you think that all dolls are inherently evil looking? Like inherently creepy looking?
Yes.
So when Grandma Louise died, we inherited somehow, I don't know how, we inherited like 3 of her dolls. And the intent, I assume, was that I would give them to you or whatever. Yeah, we keep them in the Halloween bin, and they come out. They come out.
Which ones? Which ones?
All of those dolls that are in there are like are
Those are Grandma Louise's.
Yes, I like how as we're telling the story, Lorene pops into the room and be like, "Wait, but I wanted those dolls." Yeah, they're part of our Halloween displays. So they actually, yeah, they're pretty scary. I wouldn't play with them.
I wouldn't play with them.
Okay. All right. So that was your honorable mention, but I think that's the best one because that story is so ridiculously famous that people now go there.
But you said to like grab non-mainstream ones, and that's kind of.
I believe the word non-mainstream, that expression never came out of my mouth.
Whatever.
But that's fine.
You said like don't do hi. You said like don't do ones that are like, I don't know. You suck. But I have one more.
Hold on, Lorene, you're gonna have to tell us how the lighting looks because we are using your pro. I wish we could get an endorsement from them. See if they would sponsor the show. We are using your Christmas lights that you gave Ella.
The ring light.
The ring light. So anyway, continue.
Okay, so the last doll that I have is her name is her or his. I don't quite remember. They referred to it as both.
Is this a gender fluid doll?
It might be.
Okay.
And the name of the doll is Letta the doll.
Letta?
Yeah, and the reason they called it
Spell
Letta,
it for me?
and the reason they called it Letta was because the doll was called Letta Me Out.
Letta me out? Letta me out?
Yeah, like that's what the doll.
Yeah, I get it. Like, let me out of here?
Letta
like,
me
let me
out.
out? Okay, go ahead. Continue. Oh, my word.
And why did I write that? So people said that it was like one of the creepiest looking dolls of all time.
Do we have a picture?
Yes, let me pull it up.
Oh, no, you talk. I'll pull it up.
And it's 200 years old, and it said it's made of wood, and it said it's also made of real human hair.
What? Okay. Which is not, I guess...
Crazy, but...
Right.
So, this was in Wagga Wagga, Australia, and after they had her, Letta.
Yep, keep going.
The shifting, like...
Oh, my word.
I know, she's so creepy.
Okay, so those of you guys who are... that's the doll that she's referring to. That's the doll that she's referring to.
Literally the creepiest thing on earth.
Literally the creepiest. Yes, like... You know what that feels like? Because there's one picture of it here. Oh, my word. Wait a minute. There's a whole body shot.
Isn't she great?
So for anyone who's looking, it is L-E-T-T-A.
L-E-T-T-A. If you're listening and you can't.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, she's terrifying. When I first saw her, I was like...
Okay.
Okay, so the household items would shift around, and there would be scuff marks on the floor, and the children would have nightmares about her.
First of all, this is supposed to be a girl?
I think so.
Because it doesn't, I mean, it looks like an old woman, I guess, maybe.
It's 200 years old.
But, yes, but dolls don't age, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, in terms of, like, the way they're supposed to look, like, that looks like an old woman or a man.
Yeah. So
I guess we're not going to judge it, but I see where you said the he, she part, because it is hard to tell what it is.
Okay, because they referred to it as both in the thing. So the children would have nightmares about her, and she would talk and move on her own. Dogs who visited the house would become hostile, near her area. Like
Okay.
they would go. Ruff, ruff. I literally have dog go rough rough on my notes. And
dog go rough rough.
yes. So
you write good.
I know.
You gifted student. Continue.
So
dog go rough rough.
and there are multiple accounts of guests.
You're not using the phone at all during break. If you wrote dog go rough rough. I'm just saying, like that we need to up the reading level.
So like
you know I'm playing.
And multiple guests who have visited the house have physically, like, they've seen Letta move. And so at one point the guy Walton, he tried to sell the doll, but
like recently, like on eBay or something like that.
I think he tried to, like, I don't know, he tried to sell it. But I have a quote here,
and it's in Australia, right?
Yeah. I have a quote here that he physically couldn't
Can you say it in an Australian accent?
No.
Okay.
That he physically...
Can you try?
Stop.
Okay, go ahead.
That he physically couldn't get him out of the car. The doll.
The doll.
See, that's what it's confused with.
Right, can't get the doll out, eh?
And it said that it was a boy, the spirit of a boy who drowned.
A spirit of a boy who drowned.
And...
Wait a minute. Did the doll have another name originally, and it just became known as Let It Out?
It might have.
Okay.
And it sits on the laps of those who are brave enough.
Would you allow that doll to sit on your lap?
No, thank you.
If that doll wasn't haunted, I might not let it sit on my lap just because I feel like I would have nightmares. Like, I wouldn't be scared in the moment. I just feel like I would have a horrible, horrible night. Oh, okay.
So just keep talking.
All right. So we have a slight emergency that she's going to attend to. Oh my word. So I think that that's fine. You take your time now. That one is really weird in that it's had 200 years to kind of have this mythology develop around it, right? And that's a lot of what happens to these objects is that they become historic over time as stories are told, stories are exaggerated, stories are edited. You know, you engage the reaction of the audience and you make it amp it up a little bit. You know, I know that, you know, people, for example, you know, when we're talking about haunted dolls, when people are talking about Robert, they want to hear that, you know, they're almost disappointed when they hear the part about his grandfather bought him, as opposed to the whole, you know, mythology of, you know, the housekeeper, and maybe the housekeeper was practicing voodoo and having an affair with the husband and then was fired, you know, and so that deeper mythology makes it even more haunted and definitely makes it, like, I feel like you can't have a good haunted object or a haunted toy without a backstory. Before I let you get on to the next thing that you had, which there was something about a killer I saw in your notes. I just want to read what Rita had said, which is, we had talking Cabbage Patch Kids, talking dolls in general, but Cabbage Patch Kids, that would talk even when they were turned off, anytime they wanted to. We couldn't figure them out. We even took them to church and got them blessed, but they still wouldn't shut up, much like my children. They talked to each other and randomly talked to us separately. They were creepy. And I think, thank you, Rita, for contributing. I think that that's one of the primary kind of aspects of this haunted toy thing is the electronical part of it, right? I almost feel like, now you said Letta was like 200 years old. There are so many other haunted toys that seem to rely on this idea of they work with batteries and they're not turned on and they turn on, right? Or they do something that they're not supposed to do, even though they have no batteries, or they're not turned on, or they're not charged. And I think part of it might be our misunderstanding of how, like, electricity works or like technology works. Maybe there's like a, but I think part of it is also that we've given life to these things by filling them with electricity. So it's almost like we're creating the current that something spiritual might be able to ride on, which is why there might be more stories of haunted toys kind of as the years go on. Do you want to add to that, contribute to that, respond to that?
Nope.
You're like, no, I really only care about the things that I do.
Dad, stop it.
All right, go ahead. Lean back a little bit, though, because the Facebook's got you like...
So,
One eye.
So, this isn't really a toy, so it falls into the category of things I wouldn't want to get for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
I then asked you, what are things that you wouldn't want to get for Christmas, other than clothes, in terms of because they would weird you out or you felt like there was a high potential for them to become haunted?
No, but you said, no, and like, you were like, in general, what are things, like haunted toys or things that you wouldn't want to get for Christmas because they're haunted?
Right, because they might be haunted.
Yes, because they might be.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is the killing chair of Thomas Bubsy. So...
What?
The killing chair of Thomas Bubsy.
Okay, go ahead.
So in 1702,
So definitely there were no batteries in this.
Definitely there were no batteries. So 1702, two men... I have like this... I tried to replicate the sound of somebody like... that sound. So, two men were killed, right? So, one was bludgeoned, and one was tarred, feathered, and hung. The latter, the guy from before, he killed the former, because they were arguing about the killer's wife, right? So, the guy who killed, his name was Thomas Bubsy, and he returned to his chair where he sat until the police found the body, and they traced the body, like they traced his trail to his chair. So he went on trial and all that good stuff, and he was hung at a crossroads. And and he, before he died, he cursed his chair and said, "Anybody who sits in his beloved seat will surely meet death."
I think I've heard this story before. Yep.
And it is noted that there is a count of 63 people who have died because they sat in the chair. So
you don't want that chair?
No. I would not want that chair.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 minute because... What is that steam like rising from? Did you see that? There was like steam rising
It's
from...
your mom.
Did you just see that?
Yes.
That there was something like on the feed, it was like rising up? Like a steam? It was very weird. If you guys saw that on the Instagram, let me know.
It's a
ghost! But I've had several people on the Instagram feed who cannot see the phone number ask about it. So I'm going to give the number right now.
Here, I'll type it in the chat.
If you want to, she's going to type it into the chat as well. I'm going to give the number right now in 5 seconds. You have time to... You just broke the internet. All right, the number is 813...
813...
418...
418...
6822. For those of you guys who are listening on midnight.fm,
where it's always midnight.
We're going to be going off. I'm not even going to say goodbye to you guys. We'll just kind of like click it off, and it'll go straight to Tim's show because he's got a really great show planned tonight. But you will, for the rest of us, you guys will be able to stay here and chat with us on this most holy of nights. Merry Christmas, everyone. It doesn't. No, there. It says pause. Move it over to this. No, stop touching it. There you go. All right, come back over here. Sorry to everyone else in the world who had to hear that. But we will be going off on midnight.fm in a few minutes, and we'll just kind of like click off so you guys can hear Tim's show. But the rest of you guys will be staying on for a little bit more because Ella has other objects, other toys that she doesn't want. And I wish I had known this before I made your list because surprise, it's in the garage. It's always that last thing you pull out of the garage. I got you the haunted chair.
No, you didn't.
No, I really didn't. So continue. All right, what's the next one?
So the last one, this is the last one. It is the world's most haunted painting. It's called The Anguished Man.
The Anguished Man?
The Anguished Man.
Okay.
So
more haunted than like the Blue Boy?
Yes, because it's the most haunted painting.
Okay, I got it.
So, there was a guy, his name is Sean Robinson, because I actually had the energy to write his name down. And he got the painting from his grandmother.
Okay.
And his grandmother warned him that there was a spirit living within the painting.
Wait a minute. So the grandmother gave him a painting, which she knew was haunted?
She tried to warn him, like he wanted the painting. She tried to warn him.
Worst grandmother ever.
I know. He wanted the painting. She tried to warn him, and he brushed off her claims. And she...
Is that the phrase that they used in the story, or did you just make that up yourself?
They used it.
They used it? Okay, because I like the way you brushed off the claims.
So they continue to see, his wife continues to see dark figures running around the house, strange noises from the painting, and scratching, like coming from the painting, and a man crying.
A man crying.
And what really ties this all together
What?
Is the fact that the painter of the anguished man mixed blood with his oil paints. He painted it before killing himself.
Now, were you able to confirm that?
Yes.
You were able to confirm that. So you went and did the research of who the painter was.
I think so.
You're like, well, I saw it on BuzzFeed, so it's
I
probably
saw
right.
it on BuzzFeed.
Wah. Amazing. What does that notification say?
That says calls and notifications will be silenced when your iPhone is locked.
Oh, okay. that was an awesome laugh. So we're going off the air with Midnight.fm right now. This is a really good time. People, my normal show, if you're listening on Midnight.fm, my normal show time is Tuesday nights from 8:30 to 10 before Tim's show. And I'll be starting that show back up on the 5th. For now, they are playing replays of my old shows if you want to catch in. But if you've stumbled on the show tonight and you've never heard it before, you can listen normally on Tuesday nights. The Facebook group that we're in is facebook.com/Tripping on Legends. We go live there with a video feed, but we're constantly updating things and presenting really cool information to people, different stories, weird pictures of Ella, all that kind of good stuff. As well as following us on Twitter at Spooky Balzano and on Instagram at Spooky Tripping. So thank you very much from our Midnight.fm audience, and hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a festive whatever else you might celebrate.
Yeah.
We're not going to do like a whole call off to that. We're just going to stop. Beautiful. All right. So let me go back to my original question. Okay? We don't have to... Although you like to pretend that the mic actually has some kind of value, right? All right. But are you texting during the show?
No, I'm not.
Who are you are you texting Creepy?
I'm texting Smallfoot. That's
Who's
what I have.
Smallfoot?
Mo.
Oh, Mo. You know Mo Smallfoot?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. The original... I'm pausing so that we can cut it. We can edit it. The original assignment that I gave you. So we're going to do this kind of on the fly.
Yeah, because I am not prepared.
If you have... Oh, nope, we're not. Because we are getting a call.
Ryan.
I do not know who this is, but we're going to bring them on.
Jonah Ryan.
To accept, press.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
You're calling from you're calling from Lee County?
Yeah. I am, yes.
Okay, and what's your name? Is it Ryan?
Jonah Ryan.
Jonah. Okay. All right, Jonah. What do you... Do I know you, Jonah?
You do. I was your 7th grade student.
Jonah. I don't... Okay, you're going to have to totally... I see that you're on IG. I'm totally going to have to hit up later to see your face because I'm totally not placing it, and don't be insulted by that.
No, I 100% agree. Something like that.
Okay. You've got a haunted toy story for us?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I don't know if you've talked about this before, but this is a story that I don't know. It's kind of really stuck with me for a really long time. It's a doll, but I don't know if it's super popular. Its name is Mr. Frick. It's a ventriloquist doll.
Okay.
And it was passed around after World War II.
Okay.
When it was made by a Holocaust captive, and he died in a camp.
Okay.
So, just right there's a lot of, energy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
show the picture. I was going to show the picture while you're talking. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's like the first picture.
Okay, so, with not only that, that we have the maker of it, but there's a supposedly other spirit tied to that doll from the Holocaust.
So did the person make the doll during the Holocaust?
Yeah, they made it in a camp.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. I didn't think you could actually get materials like that during the Holocaust.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
And the current owner is somebody named Michael Diamond. And it had a lot of trouble getting into buyers and stuff like that because of how bad it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are some of the stories of? Do you know some of the stories?
Yeah. So apparently, it talks all the time, and I think that's pretty creepy. Anything that just randomly talks, is really creepy.
Well, right, and then we were talking about we were talking about her little rabbit or cat. We were talking about the Cabbage Patch Kids, but those things had electronics. You know, as opposed to this is a ventriloquist dummy that's supposed to not be powered by anything. So.
Right. And apparently it's a really common occurrence for the eyes, which I think personally, just the ventriloquist dummy aspect of it, the way it can move its eyes and mouth, it just creeps me out.
Right.
And every night, the owner of this doll currently, he had it in a glass case. I don't know. I can't be on IG and talk to you because I'll get
booted. I got it. Yeah.
But that glass case would open every night. And it would just, continued opening. There's a lock on it, right?
It's one of those things where it's like it's made to order creepy. Because we have they're just scary. I mean, everything from magic to I was recently watching the episode of Buffy that has a ventriloquist to what's the Goosebumps has totally been taken over by. Goosebumps has been taken over. Who's the dummy in Goosebumps? Slappy. You know what I'm saying? So it has that kind of thing already to it. We'll post that video along with the episode. So earmark that, okay?
I can't earmark it. It's on the website.
Okay, well, earmark the website.
Okay.
My word. So it already has, it's kind of like already automatically set up. And then to have this history of being made in the Holocaust, one of those things where if any tragedy was going to implant, that would be one of those kinds of tragedies, Right. So that's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, was I the greatest teacher you ever had?
Yes, you are actually my favorite teacher I've ever had to this day.
Make sure you send me your address. I'll send you a free book for that. I'm not kidding.
Wow, okay.
I'm not kidding. Message me on IG and I'll send you a free copy of my book.
You know what's crazy? You've given me a free book.
I gave you a free book already? Or you stole it from my room?
Well, in 7th grade, you gave me a book because we used to talk about stuff all the time. And I'm so interested in the paranormal. And I'm pretty sure you just were like, here. And I was like, cool.
Wait a minute. Were you one of the twins?
Yeah.
Okay, I totally remember who you are now, right? It was you and you had a twin brother, right?
Yep.
Okay, so see, I do remember my old students. Honestly, message me on IG and I'll send you a copy, a free copy of Haunted Love, my new book, okay?
Cool. I'm super down with that.
All right, man. You're first of all, you sound like you're 23 years old, which is freaking me out.
Yeah, I was like.
Because I had you guys 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm junior year now.
Wow. Excellent.
You feel old yet?
Yeah, please. I've got. I actually have students who are having grandkids. So yes, I feel extremely old all the time. So.
Wow.
Dude, thank you very much for calling. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great night.
You too.
All right,
Good night.
bye-bye. I totally remember that kid. Totally remember that kid now.
Totally tubular.
Totally tubular. And as a matter of fact, I think they were in Cape Coral and he had either just moved or was commuting
Thank
or
you,
something.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, you get no free book. All right,
That's so mean, Dad.
So, the question remains: what object, what toy would you not want because you would think that it automatically would be haunted? So, or had the potential to be haunted. So I'm totally gonna say I agree with the idea of a ventriloquist dummy. I would not want that.
I
right?
don't want it in general.
I would not want, right, because I just feel like it would be a creepy thing, that it would be something that would potentially be haunted.
She said rude.
You know I love you.
Platonically.
Oh my word, yes. What is something else that you would not want?
Well, my new Switch. That's definitely one.
What is it?
The new Switch that I got.
Why would you think your Switch would be haunted?
Because it would like turn on and off, or like glitch, or it could like steal your data. I'm kidding.
Okay, good.
It could not do that.
Take that away.
It could definitely not do that.
Okay. So what is it? Like, seriously, like what is an object? Like Margie says in the chat, a Jack in the Box.
Oh, Jack in the Box.
Which I think is so crazy that like we gave.
They're terrifying.
I get the idea behind it. Like when we didn't have like things that bleeped, or that idea of like opening it up so that it pops out.
They're terrifying in general.
I think they're good for like little kids. I think
they're
they were
terrifying in
for.
general, but like having a haunted one, yeah, no, thank you.
I think if I'm not mistaken, we do have a report of one of those being haunted. That whole idea that it would like turn into itself. Yes, Rita. Music boxes.
Oh,
which I don't know
scary
if I would.
To tell in the dark.
If I don't know if I would classify them as toys, although I think it's something that that we get as children. Devin used to have one that would go off by itself all the time.
Was it the first one?
Yeah. The one that's in your room now? Yes.
The one that's in my room.
The one that's in your room. Basically, essentially, your room has become the museum of haunted objects.
Y'all are so rude. Y'all gotta tell me this stuff before I take it.
What's another toy that you would not want to get because of the potential for it to be ridiculously haunted?
I would probably my stuffed animal case. Like the stuffed animals are like in the side of my bed.
Yeah, that's like a doll though. So something non-doll.
Non-doll. Elizabeth said old wooden toy. I love those, the Debbie Ryan.
Yeah, like those old I think first of all, any toy that's passed down to you from Margie, you and I are like totally in sync tonight because I was just about to say that. I think any toy, especially those wooden toys,
remote control cars,
that are handed down, or like, oh, your grandpa used to play with this when he was a baby and stuff like that. Always freak me out. Like there's always something about them, even more than like being handed like a medallion. Don't read that, please. No, it's not. That's just someone who's just kept drawing an M rather than doing their work. They were, oh, here's a medallion, or here's your grandfather's war medals, or something like that. Those wooden toys that you hear stories about people getting passed down. I've heard some freaky things about that. Remote control cars and anything remote controlled, right? They're not supposed to move on their own. And yet they do. And yet the weird thing about, and the scariest thing about them is that like I was watching last night, The Mist, right? And they were like, there's bad stuff happening. And the other people were like, you're just trying to scare us. Like, there's no bad thing. I feel like there's this plausible deniability thing going on with remote controlled anything. That even though you see it do something that it's absolutely not supposed to do, people say, oh, well, that's just because of the electronics. Or like, oh, it just picked up a thing of something. So one of the things that was weirder than that is Devin used to have, I don't know if you remember this.
I probably do.
Devin used to have these cars, right? Cars. Do you remember this?
I played with those.
Had,
and they were in the
big ones. The big ones. So he had this one. This big one was like this. It was Chick Hicks, and then he had Mater, I believe. And they weren't remote controlled. They were light sensitive. Do you remember this or no? So you don't remember these toys because we got rid of them. You'll have to ask why we got rid of them. And they were, you shoot the light where you want it to go. Oh my word, that's very interesting. And the, oh, is it? Okay. And it would fly to it. We're going to take that as a sign because now our computer is dying because we charged the light on it as well. I love the idea, yes, Margie, of old toy phones. I feel like this became the island of haunted dolls rather than haunted toys. We should do a follow-up. And maybe we'll just do the hashtag haunted toys on the social media. We can start gathering things now that in the new year we're going to have haunted objects go full force. So we're going to get off the air for tonight. Like I said, I'm coming back on the air on the 5th. So what's that in like, basically a week and a half? Back on my normal Tuesday time. Will you be with me that time? Do you have the calendar, like the kids' calendar, like in your phone?
I do not.
You should. I believe you'll be with us, but I probably won't. I'm probably going to not let you be on that show. Probably going to